On May 30th, 2024, Zune updated the guidelines for Touhou Fanworks with 2 new changes. 1. Crowdfunding should generally not be done without permission. This rule has been rumored within the Western community, and now it's finally confirmed. Today, I'm here to talk about the other new change. As of May 30th, 2024, Touhou Fanworks can now be distributed on indie game sites. What does this mean? Touhou Fanworks can now be sold on websites like itch.io. Here's why that's a big deal. As many viewers know, independent creators are allowed to sell Touhou Fanworks as long as they follow certain policies. Some of these policies have specifications on where Fanworks can be sold. Previously and currently, Touhou games can be distributed at local events, small businesses, and places where you can find the official Touhou games. There are a few more places, but those cover the main ones. For an example of selling, my friend sold a Touhou fan game, Lens Night Sky, at Touhou Fest, which is the local event. On the digital side, the official Touhou games can be bought on Steam, so Touhou fan games are also allowed to be sold on Steam. Touhou Fest is a new thing, and only happens once a year. So in the USA and a lot of Europe, until recently, Steam was the only viable way to distribute paid Touhou fan games. But with the addition of the ability to sell Touhou on indie game sites, that changes. The big site people are talking about for this is itch.io. Itch.io is a site where creators can upload games for free, and also sell them if they wish. As Touhou was before, most Touhou fan games uploaded to itch.io were free. The clauses in place for derivative work guidelines were mainly there for paid works. Policies mainly relate to money stuff. For example, you can publish a Touhou browser game as long as it's free, and the only form of monetization allowed this way is through ads. So, people never got in trouble for posting a free Touhou fan game to itch.io. But, a lot of creators never monetized games on itch.io because of the guidelines. But now, the floodgates are open. Publishing on Steam is still fairly accessible. There's an initial $100 USD deposit that you get back after a game makes $1,000. Now, if you're aiming to make money back from a game, then the $100 fee isn't too much in the grand scheme of things. And for what you get on Steam in terms of support, reach, and other things, it's worth it. But there's still some cons. Setting up a Steam page is a heavily involved process, and there's a lot of approval hoops to go through. $100 also isn't nothing, especially for smaller creators who might not be aiming to profit from a game. But then you may ask, why release a game for money if you're not expecting to profit? Well, this is Touhou. Quite a bit of doujin culture is built around making something for the love of creating. Away from money, sometimes people just make Touhou fan games because they want to, or maybe because they want to get better at making games. Money made from paid fan games is often just meant to help a developer break even from dev costs. A release on Steam could go beyond the scope of that. This is where the indie rule comes in. On itch.io, you can release a game without paying anything, but still sell it for money. So, that's one barrier out of the way. Let's say there's a fresh high school graduate who's made a Touhou fan game. Maybe they commissioned art and music with money collected from part-time jobs. They might not have enough money to justify going through the Steam approval process. But, with the new guidelines, they can upload the game to itch without paying, and then set a minimum price of $2 to try to recoup development costs. So, thanks to the site rule, the creator was able to make a Touhou fan game they otherwise might not have been able to, and distribute it to a wider audience. Maybe they even get their dev money back. This cheaper barrier of entry isn't the only reason to post a Touhou fan game to itch.io. Maybe you have a game that you've considered selling on Steam, but don't know if it has the reach. You can release it on itch as a sort of test market to gauge interest. And itch has things Steam doesn't. Itch purchases happen with minimum prices. A creator can set a price for customers to pay, but customers can also pay more if they want to support the developers. I have a friend who got a $125 purchase from a $6 minimum through itch.io. I think this system makes a lot of sense within the context of Touhou fan game culture. A lot of Touhou fan games are tied to individual creators, or small groups, rather than companies, so I think games released on itch could see a lot of purchases that go beyond the minimum. But what if you want people to be able to play your game for free, but you would also like to accept donations so you can keep making Touhou fan games or fanworks? Well, itch.io has a feature for that too. The donations button lets you essentially do the same pay what you want thing, but with a default price of $0. So, people can download a game for free. And if someone wants to support the devs of the game, they can. This is the model I'm actually the most excited for. I think it's a great system for Touhou. I've talked to some friends about making games with the donation model. It'd be fun to do as a hobby and to learn from. And maybe, donations could cover time costs. It's cool. The change to the guidelines happened a month ago, and we've seen a few creators try new things because of it. There's a remake of an old Touhou Kirby game that's under development, and now the demo is on itch.io with the donation model. The free prologue of the highly popular Touhou fan game, Hero of the Ice Fairy, is also on itch.io now. But, I think this is just the beginning. I predict that there will be a lot more Touhou fanworks from Western creators. As someone who just graduated from college and is now looking to grow my game dev career, this is really exciting. I formed a fanwork circle during Touhou Fest called Fantasy Mechanics. And now, we have a new avenue to release fanworks and grow. I'm excited for the future of Touhou fanworks, and I hope you are too.